Okay, good evening, everyone. And I'm really happy and excited to welcome each one of you for this Weimar's specific knowledge sharing session and webinar. Today, why I'm little more excited for this particular webinar because this topic, which we are going to discuss today with our guest, this topic is not just the need of the hour, but the topic is so transformative. This topic will tell us that how can we build more diverse, inclusive, and future-ready leadership ecosystems. We are not talking about building an ecosystem for a specific gender. Rather, we are starting with ourselves, that how we can make ourselves future-ready. So, if you are an aspiring leader who are watching this session today, or whether you are dreaming of sitting on a board one day, or you just simply want to amplify your impact as a leader, you are at the right place today. I'm truly honored today to be joined by a powerhouse change maker, Sylvia, who is the founder of Diversify. Just few lines about her that she is working in shaping the boardrooms of tomorrow, opening the voices for the underrepresented categories and helping organizations move beyond the tokenism into the genuine diversity of thought and leadership. We will talk a lot on this topic to Sylvia. We'll unpack her insights and explore all the paths so that you are becoming future ready, board ready, and more important. We'll discuss how you can take small actionable steps to contribute to this movement. So, Sylvia, welcome to this session, welcome to this platform. And I'm really looking forward to discuss with you all the pointers. But before we dive into your brief introduction so that we can connect more.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Mega, and I'm proud to be part of the Vima network nowadays, and I hope that can contribute in a way that makes us all thrive better. So, my name is Silvia Smetana. I'm the founder of Diversify. I grew up in Austria in Europe. Started after an MBA, I started working for KPMG in tax consulting. Then I moved to Germany, did some business consulting there. I moved to the US for 12 years, 10 of which I was a CFO in an organization, and then joined another consulting company in the change leadership space. This is when I first realized that I was the only woman in the room again and again as I was working with boardrooms and C suites. So then I moved to Germany for with the same company, so for business consulting in Germany. It was slightly better, but honestly, still very pathetic to only have one other woman with me in the room. So 8 years ago, I moved to India to take care of my husband's elderly parents, so my in-laws. And that's when I started to work on Diversify. And Diversify has the goal to bring women into boardrooms and C-suites to work on this big gap that is everywhere in the US, in Germany, in India, and in many other countries. So women representation at the top is still very, very low. And this is exactly the reason why I founded Diversify. And Diversify has now grown to embrace more than just bringing women into boardrooms and C-suites, but more to that a little later.
Okay. So that introduction is quite inspiring, but I'm having few inquisitive parts after listening this introduction. So the first thing I want to understand that you are telling that you have explored many different places, not only in India but other parts of the globe. And then you came up with this concept of diversify. So again, was it the only tipping point or was it the only moment which just pushed you to start diversify, or were there anything else as well which was coming towards you or which was coming on your way and just giving you a signal that no, it is a high time to start such kind of organization?
Yeah, I think actually what really prompted me was talking to a lot of women leaders at the same level that I was at and having had the same experience. So by now, I've talked to more than 1,500 women leaders around the world, many of which said that they would have loved to have a mentor early on. They would have loved to have support, the kind we are providing now, but they didn't have that in their career. And it was the same situation for me. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have people who were helping me grow and understand how business culture works and how we can thrive in that kind of environment. So when I came to India, I actually spent quite a bit of time, about 6 months, doing research, talking with a lot of women leaders, and found that there is a willingness of senior women leaders to want to pay it forward, to want to help other women succeed. So that's why Diversify is actually an ecosystem. We also call it Diversify Club because there's women coming together who want to help other women succeed. And those women that we call our Diversify Distinguished Director candidates, they are willing to be mentors and speakers for our other programs, our Global Leader Certification Program and Leader Incubation Program.
Okay, sounds great. And why I was asking this specific thing, because when we started Viva, so the same kind of experiences we were also having. But what specific thing we were noticing that despite of having many sectors on Indian continent, we were finding that there are few specific sector, for example, the manufacturing one, wherein we saw that yes, the women representation is drastically low. So again, I want to know from your side that you are telling that in through various programs that definitely we are putting up the voices of women and this diverse sector to the boardrooms. So I want to understand why diversity is needed in the boardrooms according to you, and if the organizations are having diverse voices at different levels, I'm specifically referring to the boardrooms, that how it will shape the organizational culture.
Yeah, so specifically in the boardroom, there's a very, very good reason to have women leaders. Up till now, specifically in India, but also in other countries, the number of women on the boards is very low. In India, there's many companies who don't have a woman on board. Listed companies have to have a requirement to have a woman on board after the 2013 Act and 2016 update of the Companies Act. But even then, it's still a struggle to find more than one woman in any boardroom. It's the exceptional organization or company that has more than one. That being said, I think this is partially because companies do not understand the benefits of having women on board. And
Yes.
this is where you're pointing to. So, what are the benefits?
Hmm.
Benefits include the fact that diverse thinking, right? You need to have a different way of thinking, more diversity in thinking can not only come through women, it also comes through through age, through different abilities, through different experiences, different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. So it comes in different shapes and forms. But diversity of thought is one of the most critical parts that you need in a boardroom. The other thing I think is very important regarding women specifically is women tend to be not so easily swayed to do something they don't want to do, which sometimes is also ethically required that you stand up for what you believe is right and true. And women are much harder to convince to do something they don't think is right to do. So Lehman Brothers is the one of the big examples that Christine Lagarde had mentioned. If there would have been more Lehman sisters, we probably would have had less of a financial crisis, or it might not have happened at all.
True.
So having women on board can be a moral, ethical support to do the right thing in the company. Sometimes men are afraid of that, don't want to have that on their board. They only want to have yes sayers. But for good governance, for good corporate governance, it is definitely helpful to have strong, independent women directors who are willing to actually bring a sanity and bring some sense of responsibility to the table. These are only two things. There's obviously many, many more,
Yes.
including companies who have products that are specifically for women. And unfortunately, there are companies who produce stuff for women and don't have women on board, which doesn't make sense because you need to have customer representation at the table. So when you produce something for women, you should have somebody, a woman, to tell you what is the customer experience. Why would you buy it? Why would you not buy it? What is important in terms of the product ingredients or different product features, right? So I think when companies specifically have products that are relevant for women, it's even more important to have customer voices at the table. Same with vendors, vendor support, vendor relationships, investor relationships. If you're a startup, for example, and you don't have any woman on your team, either founding team or on your board, some investors don't care, but there are investors who actually do care about representation of women and about the diversity that you bring early on. And obviously, right now, one of the aspects that is for companies who are going public, when you go public, you need to have an independent director, you need to have a woman director.
Yes.
So the easiest way is to take an independent woman director before you go public. And this is also one of the areas we really do place women more successfully, because you need to open up anyway. And why not take a qualified woman director from Diversify?
Perfect, perfect. So, yes, in fact, I was resonating with all of your replies and justification when we were talking about women representation in board. In fact, the similar kind of things we are seeing when we are talking about Indian manufacturing sectors. So, the moment Weimar started and we started our research and getting the data, collecting the data from different manufacturing leaders, so same kind of insights we were getting, that India is moving ahead towards becoming a big economy, the third largest economy. And that is the time when we were finding the leaders' voices that yes, now the women representation is highly important in manufacturing sectors as well. They should come forward, they should take a step ahead, so that it's not only they are growing, it's the entire organization is growing, because we cannot achieve that economy target just by having a specific gender in the manufacturing sector or in the workforce. But yes, from you, I again want to understand that when you are saying that it is important to have women at the boardroom, agreed, all the points were just in syncing with all of us. The second thing which we all want to understand, the moment we are saying the women representation is needed in the boardrooms, so how can we ensure that this diverse population who is not finding their voices at a particular places, which we are saying the boardroom or the decision taking places, so how women can feel empowered, or what does this word mean when we are using this word boardroom ready, so that now I feel confident that yes, now I can put up my point and my voices would be heard. How I'll get this confidence, how the women will get this confidence, and how we are making sure that yes, now they are ready to step into this world.
Yes, so board ready is definitely an important task for anybody. First thing is obviously you need to have the qualification, you need to have the years of experience, you need to have the background. Without that, obviously you do need to have the qualification. Nobody's talking about having women join who don't have the qualification to sit on the board.
Yes.
Yes, you do need to have the qualification. You need to be an expert in some area. It may be manufacturing, it may be law, it may be finance, whatever the area is. You need to be an expert in something in order to be adding value to the board, right? That is a given. But even so, we have lots of women leaders who are very highly qualified, have been in C-suite, have been, leading a very large company. Even they have difficulties finding a boardroom. So, what does it mean then to be board ready? It includes also, obviously, specifically if we're talking about India, you need to have the independent director test if you want to join as an independent director, right? So that means, as the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, they do a evaluation of your capacity to be a board member. Absolutely, anybody who is interested in being an independent director, sign up today and do it. It's not that difficult. We have even a study group, and everybody says, I thought it was so difficult, but actually it only took me 2 weeks. It took me 3 weeks to learn, and I passed. So please, if you are interested, do it. This is the one first most important step. Ministry of Corporate Affairs, it's not that hard. It doesn't cost much. I think the registration fee is 5,000 rupees. Just go and do it. If you have the time, go and do it. First step. But that itself, having the test done, does not give you a board role. It just qualifies you to be on a board. So now what it means to be board ready is now what you're talking about, your confidence, right? So confidence is one aspect, and this is where Diversify really comes in. We have a lot of training modules. We have mentors who help you actually gain that kind of confidence. You need to know about board politics. You need to know how to prepare for the board interview. You need to write your board resume. You need to be able to speak in a way in the boardroom that you emanate confidence, body language, communication. All these things can be trained. Okay, all these things you can learn. These are not things that are shared in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, that they are much more focused on hard skills, functional expertise, basically finance and so on. What
Yes.
we are talking about is the other part of the skill set that you need, which are the soft skills, which include confidence building, imposter syndrome, and all these kind of things. So that is what you learn at Diversified. You can also get a mentor directly hand holding you. We also have a program that you can get vetted by a committee, which is like a test interview. When you go to board, you need to be interviewed by the chairperson, usually by some of the committee members, the nomination committee. So they are actually doing an interview with you, and you can do a test interview with Diversify. We also have promotions. So we have podcasts, we have ways how we have landing pages for our D3 candidates. So once you join as a D3 member, there's a series of events that we can create to promote you as a person, as a speaker, as a candidate. And then once you're that ready, then we also provide opportunities to join boards. So companies come to us when they have openings, and we post these openings on our website and on our internal website. So you have to be a member to see them. And then people can apply through that. Also, we actively reach out. If we have a board position and we know somebody's qualified, we actively reach out to them as well to ask them to submit their board valuation. So
That's great.
these are different ways how people can enhance it, including networking. And this is another point that's very, very critical. Networking is absolutely important if you want to join a board, and you need to network with board and C-level people. So you need to go to events that enable you to meet those kind of level of people. So joining, there's different opportunities to join. The board stewardship organizes some events in different places around the globe. We have virtual events also. We have networking events in Hyderabad and Bangalore and Frankfurt and other places as well. So people can join those networking events in person. And here's where I say, yes, networking virtually is valuable, but in person you cannot replace.
True.
In person events are absolutely critical if you want to get a board role in the country that you're at. Join those networking events. It don't have to be from Diversify. Any networking event that connects you with board and C-levels participants is an event that you should go to. And the more active you are, the more likely it will be that you get a board role. Not immediately. The other thing you need to be aware of is you need to be patient. A board role does not come just because you want it to come within 6 months. Did you say, I'm ready now? Okay, that's great. You have to be ready. But just because you say you're ready doesn't mean that the board role will come along. Specifically, the board role that fits your profile. Each person has a different profile, and each board role has a different requirement, and they need to match. And in order to find that match, this is what takes time. And sometimes I have had the situation where the board role was there for the right person, but the person wasn't ready. And that
Yes.
is the biggest mistake you can make. Be ready. Be ready. So when the opportunity knocks, you can say yes. I have had it already twice that a woman would have been qualified. She would have been the right fit for the role, but she didn't have the time to finish her board resume. She didn't have the time to apply and so on. Then we don't know when the next opportunity comes along, right? So that's what it means to be board ready.
Perfect. Perfectly pointing all the things. And in addition to what all pointers you are giving, the mentorship, the networking events, and the skilling part, in addition to all those things, just one more pointer I just want to add on here. What we are doing for our Indian counterparts, for our Indian partners and Indian members who are the members of WIMA, we are just creating some industrial connects and industrial events. So the moment we are doing any industrial event, we are sending an open invite to all the members that come and join us to this industrial event. So the
Yes.
moment you are talking to those people who are already in that position, who are already a decision maker, who are already a change maker in those particular industry, it gives you again, a different perspective. Okay, now I can probably nudge myself. Now I can gaze myself that whether I am able to step into this kind of environment or not. So these kind of activities also we keep on doing, so that people are getting actually a real time exposure of all those environments and all those scenarios. So yes, these are some of the things which actually gives us a competitive advantage and competitive edge. But yes, The moment we always keep on talking about the women empowerment in diversify, we are also saying that yes, we need more women representation in the boardrooms. But I believe at the same time, we are not saying that the moment women should get the participation in the boardroom, we are not anytime excluding any specific gender, or we are not excluding the male counterparts. Yet at the same time, we are saying that we need to build an ecosystem wherein all the specific diverse segment, be it a male or a female or anyone who comes from any specific gender, they are just complementing each other. So I just want to understand your perspective here, that how can male allies, they can contribute in this movement, so that we are not sending a message outside in the world that we are just promoting women's. No, we are creating an ecosystem which is a win-win for everyone. So what's your perspective on this thought? How can the male counterparts come to this moment and they can also contribute, so that we all are having equal opportunities at equal platforms?
I think the most important thing is a mindset shift. The reason being is that, when you look at the boardrooms right now, and for the last whatever 100 years, what you see is mostly men, and mostly elderly men, right? I mean, elderly. I mean, I'm already late in my late 50s, so I can't really say elderly, but it is generally the age group is 50 plus, sometimes 60 plus, and it is usually male. And in Europe it's white male, in America it's white male, and in India it's Indian male, right? So that being said, if they understand the benefit of having more diverse thought, and having understood that you have more talent available when you include more people, not just your personal network. And the reason it keeps being men of the same kind is because everybody just looks in their own network, which is understandable, because you say, oh, I have this friend, or I have that school mate, or I have, people that I know who would be qualified to sit on my board. Absolutely understandable. And obviously, you can put them on your board, that's fine. But if you have one independent director that you have to have, why can't it be a woman? It needs to be somebody anyways that should be independent. And obviously some people take their friends to be independent also, which is not really the idea. It can be a woman, and women do bring something extra to the table. And if people understand what they bring to the table and how they actually add value, I think this is how male allies can really help us. And we have at Diversify quite a few men who are very supportive, because they understand. They understand why it's important, and they understand what the benefits are. And because of that, they are supporting the mission. They are bringing open boardrooms to the table. They are helping us actually bringing women into those roles. Why? Because they understand.
Okay, sounds great. In fact, the same kind of things we are seeing, that we always keep on pointing this particular statement, that we are not we are not saying that we do not want male in this ecosystem. We want everyone this ecosystem. But again, one important thought, because you have seen the different cultures, you have seen the cultures of different countries. So currently we are talking about diversity in terms of gender. Now I'm talking a different perspective. How is the diversity in terms of culture? How is the diversity in terms of age? How is the diversity in terms of years of experience? How is the diversity, even I'm adding more sensitive term, neurodiversity? How these kind of diversity shaping the decision makings for the entire organization. We are naming it a boardroom, but I'm talking to the wholesome perspective of the organization. So the different kind of diversities, my belongingness, my societal impact, how does these kind of diversities can impact the decision makings?
So it's interesting, because I think this very much depends on also what kind of company it is and what kind of product it is. If it's a product, or what kind of service it is, right? So, for example, if it's a company that is only in India, it's only serving Indian customers, is only serving a small age group and serving them, then it makes sense that you would only have Indian board members, you would only have that age group that you're serving and so on. So it depends a little bit on what kind of companies you're talking about. And specifically, obviously, when you talk about large organizations who are international, who serve a wide audience, they should have a very diverse, very global board, obviously. It's not necessarily a given, but it makes total sense. But of course, you have to adjust to what the situation is. Not every small company can have a multinational board. It doesn't make sense and wouldn't work, obviously.
Yes.
But in manufacturing, for example, I think it would be very important to find out, have you a representation of all your customer segments in terms of age group, in terms of gender, in terms of even neurodiversity, in terms of, and so on. Why? Because they can bring a certain experience to the table that is important. So, for example, if you have a product that serves handicapped people, that's it, or differently abled, blind people, if you have a product that serves blind people, you better have somebody on the board that is blind. Why? Because they can give you so much insight
Yes.
about how to use the product, what should be changed, how can it be more adjusted to the customer. We don't, we are, none of us can have all the experiences in the world, but we can bring experience to the table. And specifically in the boardroom where a lot of decisions are made, strategic decisions, it is very important to have big perspective. You need to be able to see from 60,000 feet view on the future of the organization. If you don't have a wide perspective, you can't really do that very well.
True, true. In fact, many times when we talk about neuropsychology, so we start saying that if we are having only one specific perspective, so probably we are just paralyzed with the tunnel vision and we are not able to see the different and diverse perspectives. So, that is again one important reason to have diverse suggestions, to have diverse views and diverse thoughts across the table, and then we are just doing all the root cause analysis on all those kind of control impact matrix to reach to the final conclusions. So these kind of things are again very important. But now a different set of things I want to know from you. You are working in this sector for last many years, so till now, do you remember any aha moment for you or any fulfilling moment when you felt that, okay, for that is the reason I started Diversify? And today I'm feeling so fulfilled. Probably this, if sharing this moment could be inspiring for all of us.
Yeah, so there's two main events, I would say. One is when we actually place a woman on a board, it is extremely fulfilling because we know we actually have made a difference. We wish we would do a lot more of that, but board roles are hard to get by. But this is always a wonderful, wonderful moment when you actually place a very qualified woman in the perfect board role. It just fills my heart. The other thing that I really love doing is we have feedback sessions with our participants of the Global Leader Certification Program and the Leader Incubation Program. So I get on a call. It's not just me, we have a whole team of doing the feedback sessions. But I get on a call with the participants and they tell me their honest experience. And it's absolutely heartwarming because they so genuinely share their experience of how incredibly helpful these programs are for them that I almost cry sometimes because it's so wonderful that you actually have impacted a life to that degree. And anybody who wants to watch those videos, we actually record them and we create short testimonial videos. They're on our website, theversify.com. If you go to the Leader Incubation Program, we have 6 videos of all the cohorts we have done. Uh, it's just wonderful to hear the participants speak about their experience. And it tells me why I'm doing this because it really it lightens my heart and makes me joyful listening to their feedback.
I could truly see that moment of joy and pride on your face and how your facial expressions were changing when you was describing this moment and how I can resonate with this. I can definitely feel that feeling because when we are having such kind of moments at Weimar, we also hold the same kind of emotional outburst and we are having that joy that when the people who are on the Weimar's member site and when they are getting good mentorship and they are getting placed at the position which they are dreaming for, not specifically the boardroom, but the position which they are aspiring, specifically in the manufacturing sector. So that kind of same joy we also having. I'm just interrupting because we are having one question in the chat box. There is a specific question from one participant that how do you help the women who have qualified the IICE exam, and how we can help those women to connect to the companies for the board positions who have actually qualified this IICE exam.
So people who have the qualification, what we do is we first ask them to join as members of the Versify. Then the next step is we ask them to do some soft skill training, because the MCA test doesn't really do much of that, which includes board politics and imposter syndrome, and how can you have a voice in the boardroom and so on, and how do you do even the research before joining a board, because you need to do due diligence and so on. So there's a whole program of additional training. It's at your own pace, whenever you want to do it. There's no timeline for you. You join as a member and you can watch it whenever you want. Once that is done, one of the master classes is board resume writing. First thing is you have to have a very good board resume. You can get help. You can listen to the master class, do it yourself. You can get also coached by somebody to help you with the board resume. Once you have the board resume ready, then you can apply to get vetted by our Global D3 committee, which is doing this test interview. As if you would have a board interview, they're doing a test interview, and they give you feedback. How did the test interview? How did it go? How do you present yourself, and how do you speak? And what are the things you should highlight? And also, what kind of boards are really good for you? With your background, what kind of boards should you even be thinking of? Not every board is the right board for you.
Yes.
Depending on your background, you need to choose and find the right boards for yourself, and then we ask you usually to make a list of the top 5 boards you want to be on. Not the size is important, but the fit, the kind of perfect fit for you. So you give us that list of the 5 boards, and we look into, do we have connections there, can we get an introduction to those boards, and so on. In the meantime, we also do the promotion, where we put a landing page up for you, where we put you on a podcast. We promote the podcast on the website, in Spotify, in different places. We have you, not everybody, but many people get the chance to be a speaker at Diversify. So with different ways to promote you. And then we also, when we have open board roles come in, then we match you if it is the right fit for you. So this is the journey.
Perfect.
And
I have one
networking is
more.
what we invite you for.
Definitely. I have one more question. The people who are coming from non-corporate backgrounds, like from the academia sector, from the social sector, from entrepreneurship, how they can make themselves board ready because they are not having that corporate experience with them. So anything
So
can be done
yes.
for them as well.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So academia, my suggestion is obviously you first should be on the board of an academic institution. First step, right? You do need to do that because this is the only way for you to get board experience, in my opinion. Secondly, once you have that board experience, then I think you can look at industries that specifically have research or a need for a specific academic perspective, right? So, for example, if you do research in AI or in some kind of specific area, say, for example, city water drainage system, just to name something, right? Okay, if you're an expert in that in academia, there might be some water treatment firm that would benefit from your academic background. So the way to do it is you need to be very specific of what kind of board would benefit you, and you would benefit, the board would benefit from you. So this is where I think you need to be very specific in terms of the kind of research you do and figure out what board would really benefit. Similarly, if you have entrepreneurial experience, if you are a multiple entrepreneur, then your chances are pretty good because you have done it. You have been there, done it multiple times. You have learned a lot. You have done a lot. You have invested a lot of your time, energy to grow as a person because only then will you be successful as an entrepreneur. If you have been an entrepreneur multiple times around, you have good chances. And you can join a startup board that is maybe pre-IPO or going public. They would value entrepreneurial experience.
Okay.
Um, I think this is where I would start if I was an entrepreneur. Start at the late startup phase and then work your way into the listed boardrooms. Once you have listed boardroom experience, other listed boards will become more interested in you.
Perfect. I have one more question. This is a very peculiar question from a Gen Z. And because we also cater this population Gen Zs when we are connecting with the higher educational institutions. So, definitely, our purpose of connecting with the higher educational institution is so that we can create an inflow for the manufacturing sector so that more and more diverse population is coming into this specific sector. And they are asking one specific question, that how can the Gen Zs, not millennials, the Gen Zs only, how they can come up with the different voices wherein they are giving their, they are not asking how they can be board ready, rather they want to be a part of this mission. They are saying how we can contribute to strengthen these voices, that we need more diverse places, we need more diverse boardroom, how they can come up with their voices to this vision and mission.
It's a very good question. I think what they can do is to really support the diverse candidates that they want to see in their own company. So, what I mean, for example, if there's a woman leader that you're either direct leader or one above you, try to find, try to ask if she can be your mentor, for example, right? Mentoring doesn't have to be only official. You can also adopt the mentor, which means you can ask them to be a mentor, or you can just treat them like your mentor, which means you actually go there for advice and you make them feel valuable. Actually, this is why the mentoring works so wonderful, is because the mentor feels valued for what they can give, and the mentee receives incredible insights and wisdom. So mentoring works both ways. And the wonderful thing is, if you have women, for example, in your company that you feel would be great board candidates or great leaders in general, and you want to help them, ask them to be your mentor. That is one way of supporting them, giving them confidence, supporting them in their growth, and helping them maybe get more recognition. Because if you treat them as a mentor, other people might also treat them more with respect.
Yes, true. Now I have one or two rapid fire questions. The
Okay.
one skill which you are feeling is non negotiable in the boardroom.
Finance and communication is two.
Perfect. And what is the biggest barrier to inclusion in the workplace?
Closed mindsets,
Okay. One
habits,
leader,
old habits.
okay. One leader you admire for inclusion and why?
Lena Nar, CEO of Chanel,
And
she has
why?
been, and why? She has been consistently working for this diversity and inclusion since I know her. I mean, for decades, you can say. She's been obviously HR, Unilever, we all know, but they have really, really put their mind to 50% women in leadership, and they actually achieved it at Unilever. So that to the big degree, that is also her to her credit. So I think she's really, really shown it's completely possible at a very large organization to achieve that goal. So there's no other large organization can say, no, no, it's not possible. We don't have enough women leaders and all this rubbish. So it is possible if you set your mind to it. Now it might take some extra effort, but if you're a large organization like Unilever, you do have the resources to do it. Not every organization has the resources to invest that much,
Hmm.
but everybody can make some effort.
And my last rapid fire question, why Sylvia for Diversify?
What do you mean by that? Why Sylvia for diversify?
Means why you took this initiative.
Oh, why? Well, because I had the experience of being the only woman in the room so many times and felt it wasn't right. There's so many qualified women who can sit on boards. Why only one woman in the room, right? It makes also women feel awkward if you're the only one. If you have more women, there's more perspective and there's more consents also. It's hard for women to stand their ground if they are one woman and nine men, right? So it's very important. I feel personally it's very important that we change the culture in the boardrooms and we change the culture in businesses in general Also because the boardrooms actually have a big influence on the policy of the organizations. The
Perfect.
policies are made partially in the boardroom. What is allowed in the company, and I'm talking also about sexual harassment and how women are treated regarding this. If the boardroom allows these kind of sexual remarks and all these things, then it will happen in the company as well. If the boardroom is very strict about that, it won't allow it, then also further down in the C level and other won't be able to do it. Or at least if they do it, there will be consequences,
True.
which is incredibly important for women to succeed. If women are getting stopped by stupid things like sexual comments or harassment or, the tap on the shoulder or whatever it is that women feel offended by, we should be way beyond that by now. It's 2025, right? We shouldn't have to deal with this shit anymore.
Yes. You have touched a very
I,
sensitive chord.
I really hope I make a contribution to that so that women have a chance to really succeed. And this is why Sylvia for Diversify.
Wonderful. Why I ask this question? Because many times when we are representing Weimar, we are getting this question shooted on us that why you want to just be the voice of women in the manufacturing sector. And we also always give this simple and very generous reply that we do not know that who all are doing about this. Government is doing, many organizations are doing this, but we are doing our part. If we are able to bring even a 0.1% change in the manufacturing sector, so we believe that we have done something towards this particular cause. So that is the reason we are taking our step forward for this particular thing. And the point which you have said about the women's safety, so yes, that is very important in the boardroom. And I'm proud to say that we are also coming up with many such kind of interventions where we are also sensitizing people in the boardroom, outside the boardroom, that yes, women's safety is paramount and we should not play with it. So for that reason, definitely in India we are having posh law, but all the population is not quite aware about it, that what is it, how it is benefiting the people and how it is creating the safer workplace. So yes, these kind of skillings also we keep on doing under Vaima to make people aware and just to certify them for this particular law as well. Sylvia, it's like I should keep on discussing with you and keep on asking many questions, but now as we are having this time bound activity, so I want to know your advice or your words to the aspiring leaders, irrespective of the genders, be it a male or a female, that how they can come forward, how they can lead themselves wisely, and how they can contribute, just creating a safer growth and a such kind of ecosystem whereas everyone is flourishing. So, what your advice to all of them, irrespective of any gender?
Well, theoretically, this would be like 5 master classes on all these topics. But yes, so the short version would be understand yourself. You need to understand yourself before you can lead others. So first is self-development, very important. There's many ways to do this. There's many development courses and trainings. Second thing is you need to understand what leadership is. Leadership is not management. Management and leadership are two different things. Most people tend to invest more in managing and acquiring skills to manage processes, people. This is how you're supposed to do it. This is the process, and so on. But managing people is not the same as managing a product or a process. Okay, leadership is really means that you lead. That means you are the example that others follow. It's not about telling people what to do. It's about being an example that others can follow. So understanding that difference is very, very important. So you have to be an example and you have to grow yourself as a leader. And that never stops. As a leader, you keep growing. So that's the first two steps, I think, in the right direction. And then I think once you have taken those two steps, then I think programs like the Global Leader Certification Program or the Leader Incubation Program can really help you accelerate your learning, accelerate your growth. But the first step you can take on your own. If you haven't done any of that yet, start getting interested in those things. Yes, you need to be, obviously, you need to also have knowledge in your domain. I'm not saying you have to obviously invest time and energy And many people will have to invest time and energy now in AI and understanding AI and how to use it. Absolutely, you do have to do that. But if you want to be a leader, if you want to grow in that domain, you also need to invest time in your own personal development and in leadership skills, which are not just leadership skills are not just about mechanical learning of academic understanding. You have to apply. You only grow as a leader if you apply your learning. This is why this Global Leader Certification Program and Leader Incubation Program is so helpful and so supportive of the women, and theoretically men could do it also. We haven't it opened up yet to men, but we're considering it, because you actually learn by doing, and you learn it in a way that sticks, because this one is a 6 months program, the other one is a 4 months program. And what we've also learned is that change does not happen overnight. You can't, on a weekend, you can't become a leader. It doesn't work that way.
True.
You have to invest the time and you have to invest the energy to actually grow as a leader. And it does take a few months to grow as a leader. But
Yes.
this is why we have such fantastic testimonials from our programs, because we are taking the time and we're helping them, not only with live master classes, self studies, but also one on one mentoring. And the one on one mentoring by somebody outside the company has proven to be extremely valuable. Why? Because somebody from outside the company, you feel confident to talk with them about anything that bothers you, anything that you feel is hindering your growth. If you do that within the company, sometimes you feel, I don't know if I say this, maybe my boss will find out. So we have confidentiality agreements with all our mentors. So they're not talking to anybody about whatever you talk about in the mentoring session. So you're free to actually explore anything that really bothers you and anything that keeps you from growing. So I feel this is an important part, that you need anybody who really wants to grow as a leader, even if you grow up the ladder, even the C-level people usually have an executive coach. They have some mentor, they have, usually if you get to the C-level, you have had multiple mentors. Don't
Yes.
think that because you're growing in the ladder, you need less help. Actually, mostly you need more help, but you're more willing
Hmm.
to accept help. That's the thing, that's the difference. You learn that accepting help in your own growth, in your own development, only helps you. It doesn't prevent you from growing, it helps you growing. So this is a very
Yes.
important understanding. Have somebody that mentors you, that sponsors you. By the way, sponsoring is not the same as mentoring. If you are lucky to get a coach, take a coach, but coaches are generally more expensive than mentors or sponsors. Sponsors, just to make the difference, mentor is somebody who helps you and talks with you about how you can grow. A sponsor talks about you. That means it is somebody that knows your work, and at your company, he's talking for you. That means there's an open position, there's a way to grow. He or she will speak up for you and say that, I know this person, she has done wonderful work. I really feel she's a good fit for this coming role. That's a sponsor. It's not the job of a mentor, and it's not the job of a coach. That's the job of a sponsor. And a sponsor you need to have within your company. Somebody who can bring, usually 2 or 3 levels above you. They should have worked with you, so they know your work. They can authentically speak about your achievements. Very important to have a sponsor, a mentor, and if you're lucky, a coach.
Perfect. Perfectly just dissecting these three different layers as sponsors, mentors, and coach. And I am 100% sure that this particular conversation inspired me a lot, and I believe the others, viewers, and listeners as well. So, Sylvia, thank you so much for bringing in a lot of energy, a lot of insights for each and everyone who are actually seeing themselves or who are actually carving the path for themselves towards the boardroom. But again, I'm giving one simple thing to all the listeners and viewers who are watching this program now or maybe later on as well. If you are inspired with this small conversation, which we had just with Sylvia, and if you actually want to make path for yourself, please connect with her, visit the Diversify platform, explore what things they are offering, and see how you can benefit yourself by just leveraging all the things which they are offering. Because it's not, it's all about sharing, learning, collaborations. The more you share, the more you learn, the more you collaborate, it means you are growing ahead in your ladder. And that's what we are doing at Weimar: sharing, collaboration, networking. I believe these are the important things which can shape the future. Maybe after a few years down the line, we don't need to advocate these kind of things and statements that yes, we need more people in the boardroom and we are having equal opportunities for all. At that time, probably we'll say that yes, we have contributed something. Any final words from you, Sylvia?
I just want to say thank you for having me and thank you for doing what you're doing with the work with Rima. I think it's very important because the women in manufacturing do need a lot of support. It's a tough industry. It's an industry that does not show a lot of women leaders. And I'm glad you're there to support them. And I will send any woman that I know in the manufacturing industry to make sure that she joins Rima.
Thank you, Sylvia, Lord. That's what I say. That's the power of collaboration.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Wonderful day
again,
to be with you.
yes, thank you for your time and all the wonderful insights. And again, those who want to connect with Sylvia, please visit her LinkedIn page. Please go to the website and explore each and everything, whatever she has offered today. Thank you, Sylvia, for joining with us today. Have a
Thank you
great
so
evening.
much for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.